Two women go on an evening out without their husbands. They get somewhat worse the wear for drink and are staggering home at the end of the evening. They decide to take a shortcut through the cemetery, but the effect of the cold and all the drink get to them and both get desperate for the toilet. Well, nobody's around, so they squat down behind a couple of gravestones and do their thing before staggering on again. Later the following day, their husbands, who work for the same company, meet up in the works canteen. One of them tells the other that he thinks his wife is having an affair. "What makes you say that?" he asks. "Well, when I woke up this morning, she was still asleep after her night out, crashed out on her front, and I couldn't believe what I was seeing. She had a rose stuck in her backside." "You think you have problems?" says the other. "When I woke up this morning, I noticed that my wife had a card stuck in her backside. It read, 'From all your friends at the fire station.'" A precious little girl walks into a pet shop and asks, with the sweetest little lisp you can imagine, between two missing teeth, "Excuse me, sir, do you have any whittle wobbits?" The shopkeeper's heart is melted by this delightful young girl, and he gets down on one knee to speak to her properly. "Do you want a whittle white wobbit, or a thoft and fewy black wobbit, or perhaps one like that cute whittle brown wobbit over there?" She looks across at the choice, blushes shyly, rocks on her heels, puts her hands on her knees and leans forward before saying in a quiet voice, "I don't think my python will really give a thit." A man is sitting in a plane which is about to take off when another man with a dog occupies the empty seats alongside. The dog is sat in the middle, and the first man is looking quizzically at the dog when the second man explains that they work for the airline. The airline rep said, "Don't mind Rover, he is a sniffer dog, the best there is. I'll show you once we get airborne and I set him to work." The plane takes off and levels out when the handler says to the first man, "Watch this." He tells the dog, "Rover, search." The dog jumps down, walks along the aisle, and sits next to a woman for a few seconds. It then returns to its seat and puts one paw on the handler's arm. He says, "Good boy." He turns to the first man and says, "That woman is in possession of marijuana, so I'm making a note of this and the seat number for the police who will apprehend her upon arrival." "Fantastic," replies the first man. Once again, he sends the dog to search the aisles. The dog sniffs about, sits down beside a man for a few seconds, returns to its seat and places both paws on the handler's arm. The airline rep says, "That man is carrying cocaine, so again, I'm making a note of this, and the seat number." "I like it," says the first man. Once again, he sends the dog to search the aisles. Rover goes up and down the plane aisle, and after a while sits down next to someone, and then comes racing back and jumps up onto the seat and craps all over the place. The first man is surprised and disgusted by this and asks, "What the heck is going on?" The handler nervously replies, "He just found a bomb." After having dug to a depth of 10 meters last year, Scottish scientists found traces of copper wire dating back 100 years and came to the conclusion that their ancestors already had a telephone network more than 100 years ago. Not to be outdone by the Scots, in the weeks that followed, English scientists dug to a depth of 20 meters, and shortly after, headlines in the English newspapers read, "English archaeologists have found traces of 200-year-old copper wire and have concluded that their ancestors already had an advanced high-tech communications network 100 years earlier than the Scots." 1 week later, the Kerry Men, a southwest Irish newsletter, reported the following. After digging as deep as 30 meters in peat bog near Tralee, Paddy O'Droll, a self-taught archaeologist, reported that he found absolutely nothing. Paddy has therefore concluded that 300 years ago, Ireland had already gone wireless.